How's my sound? Okay. Hey, I'm gonna jump into it again today. We have music. I'll say so. So a few changes today, and some things I want to address with prior streams. So like yesterday's stream, I'm learning stuff. You know, the more I do this, the better we get. Right? It's the same thing with the sketches. The more I sketch, the more I do this every single day, the better I'm gonna get. The better I'm going to get better at using my time whenever I sketch. The better I'm going to do is finding times to sketch. There's a lot more to it than just setting aside time and drawing every day. While that's important, it just helps set up the pattern and the repetition, and like that's, you know, habit forming. It's great. I'm sticking to it. You know, we're going to be here. I would like to do things differently. One of the things that I think I learned from my last stream, which I would call a colossal kind of fumbling, is if I come out here tired, I can't give 100%, and that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. Kind of like as a blanket statement. I don't think it's a good. I don't think it honors the people who have taken time to follow me, and I don't think talking about how sleepy I am is necessarily a habit that I'd want to form. So, you know, if you were here last night or you watched yesterday's stream, you know, I was pretty much just like useless. I got very little done. I think I planned what I was going to draw. I did draw. I drew more earlier in the day. I always draw during the day off stream, which has honestly been the biggest thing I've noticed about myself from doing this, like drawing every day, is because I'd always been kind of drawing every day. And of course my job has me drawing every day, but I wasn't drawing for myself. And I've kind of returned to drawing for myself in my spare time. Like today, I went to a cafe with some friends, and we sat around and we drew, and we kind of got into each other's work, and that was fun. It was fun to do. I helped my daughter out with her homework. We just kind of worked through stuff. But yeah, last night I come on here and I'm really sleepy, and that doesn't feel good. I'm trying to like not. If I come on here sleepy, I kind of have this obligation, I feel like, to kind of pick up where I last left off on my last stream, and I want to stop doing that if I don't feel like I have the energy to jump back into the big project I was doing. Then I'm just going to jump back into whatever project I am doing, or whatever drawing I feel like doing, which might be a study, which is usually a better use of my time than kind of fumbling around a drawing I care about and making mistakes. So, and I've done that a couple times on here, where I just wanted to, I make the promise the day before, like, hey, I'm going to go back to that drawing. And of course I'm going to go back to that drawing. But then I do it very sleepily and haphazardly, and I make mistakes, and I don't like it, and I feel like discouraged. So I want to try to stop that by instead tonight, and let's go ahead and start this thing up. Tonight I'm not going to be doing the digital art piece of the castle. I'm going to be jumping into a sketch that I did a while ago that was an outlining of a thing, and I kind of opened my sketchbook up to it today because we were talking about what we were working on, and I came around to this page, and this page is so unremarkable, but it's one of my favorite ideas. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna come back, and I revisited my notes on it before the stream, and I'm like, I kind of feel energized to do this. I started doing this today because I was trying to demo a certain tool that I like to, people are kind of intrigued by this thing that I was doing. And I was like, oh, do you want to see what this is and how I use it? Because it's one of my cheapest thing. Also, I got a new thing to carry my pencils around. I haven't organized it yet. I just kind of jammed everything in there. So I gotta do that still, but it's right on top of the thing I want. I have a lot of big markers. They're all huge. They don't fit in any of the side pockets. I gotta jam some stuff into it. This is a pretty cheap bag, but I really want a yellow one. So there were other better bags, but I was like, but this one's yellow, and I want that. Gotta do what you want to do, right? So a few things you'll notice different about the stream today, other than sort of my change in process and how I want to proceed going forward, is I have changed. You'll notice this here. This is an experiment, so today this should work. I tested it out a little bit, and it does seem to improve things. This is to get rid of some of the shake. So before, if I'd be erasing something, like you still have some shake, you just saw that now, but it would be like, yeah. It was really, this dramatically, I feel this dramatically reduces it. And I'm of course going to try to see if I can find, I mean, when I do that, everything on my desk shakes. So hopefully this gets rid of the general shake. So like, just a lot less. Right now, like, my microphone, by the way, is in a way better spot to be recording my voice. I'm actually going to pump that up so it picks it up a bit more. But no, my microphone's in a way better spot because of this neat little whatever it is. I feel like I get a better field of view on the desk. I'm going to do a zoom in a second. A little less flexibility as far as zooming into the drawing and getting into like really detailed stuff. And I'm sure we'll work a way around that. But this is a new setup. This should give way less motion sickness if you were sensitive to that before. It was something I was aware of, and I don't think anybody mentioned it, but I certainly felt that way. And if I felt that way, there's probably people out there who, weren't saying anything. In any case, it's better. So yeah, let's jump into this. I'm going to change my view angle here. I do want to talk about some of the other stuff on my desk here, so I'm going to talk about this guy. We talked about this a few times before. I haven't talked about this, and that's something I think I want to visit either later tonight or maybe in a future stream. I want to talk about Death in Space, which is another tabletop role-playing game that I recently picked up. I've read about half this book, and I am just so excited. It is... feels like a campaign tabletop role-playing game, I'll say right now. So it does, but it's a little rules light. It's rules light, but it's meant for that kind of extended play and storytelling on an epic scale, which can't get enough of. And kind of that, place yourself out there. What would you want to do? And it is customize your own ship. I think I really enunciate the P in that, don't I? Alright, let's get started. I want to talk about this, and I need to zoom in my camera for that. Hold on. Bloop. Let's see, not much closer. Old sketches here from older streams. Just gonna adjust this thing. Alright. So this is the Kids Made Modern Onyx, or Kid Made Modern paint stick. This is a extremely cheap acrylic. It's not archival, so it's not good for finished pieces. What is this even made of? I couldn't even tell you what this is made out of. It almost feels like a glue stick or a piece of like. It's got this kind of lipstick function of moving in and out. It's got dirt on it. Yeah. I was at some. I was using it. Somebody gave it to me to decorate pumpkins like 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, and I've just had it on me. And the other day I was playing with it, and I was like, "This is fun. I like this. This is like fun and freeing, and it kind of has like a texture." I gave it to my daughter today, and she was having fun with it. So I'll talk about my kids more on this stream. But when I say my kids, I really wish I had more kids. I just have the one. All right. I super can't afford more kids, but I want them. I like kids. Let's play with this. I want to, because rock texture was the thing I talked about a lot before. This is kind of like doubling down on that. I want to You see, you can kind of get nice blacks out of it if you give it little circles. Oh, you can't see that. Well, shoot. Oh, you can. Never mind. Looking at the wrong monitor. I kind of like use it. It's really sensitive to the tooth of the paper and how hard you push down. Like, it doesn't want to fully transfer unless you're giving an effort to make it fully transfer. Well, in this composition I have these two mountainsides. You can't see the sketch at all, which I'm going to change. I'm going to fix that very soon. And I have these two sort of almost mountainsides. It's like the edges of a valley. This one's I'm making more of a cliff. These are framing elements for like a bigger idea and piece that I'm going to keep toying with and engaging with. And this is, so let me say, I have an interesting process when it comes to creating game content, in that I like to think about the world as very real. And so a place I approach it from is to start building the world out as realistic and kind of like how it exists physically and how you view it from afar. So my very first drawings of Alarun, which is something that I have on my page, and you can find that on my website at andystoltz.com, a big world map of that. Alarun started off as this very sort of like zoomed out, almost like Google image search, kind of like 45-degree view from a distance of a continent. And then as I developed it out, it became much more nuanced and stuff. So this is how I start another campaign setting that I'm developing for what is sort of a mega dungeon. I'm trying to take the idea of the mega dungeon and really toy with it and make it a bit more a little bit more story focused. I feel like while all like mega dungeons have like through lines, they're kind of like hidden. They're meant to be found. And they're not always like important to the actual game. Like, it's kind of like, here's a nugget if you want to find it. It's like, there's stories in, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft lately. Like, there's stories in Minecraft. Like, there's a meta narrative to Minecraft, but you don't need to care about it. I feel like a lot of dungeons are that way. There's a meta narrative to them, but whether or not you get it or not has nothing to do with the like full story. You don't need to track the history books that you find and like, hey, why is this important, or why is this here? You don't need to know that stuff. But in this, I'm trying to develop it out so that when you create a 365 room daily dungeon sort of thing for a person to, engage with, you can't make every room a fight. You can't make every room a puzzle. Some rooms are just going to be interesting to read about. And in real dungeon design, there's only real 5. I think I've talked about this numerous times. There's only 5 real stages to the dungeon that are important. And you can repeat those, and you can play with them and kind of turn them on their heads a lot. And you can even sub them out for other things and restructure them. But at the end of the day, when you have a mega dungeon, the mega dungeon is still going to be like either a repetition of those 5 rooms, or those 5 rooms mixed amongst like a bunch of rooms. you might have a 1,000 room dungeon to crawl through, but at the end of the day, only so many of those rooms actually matter. So if you create a 365 room dungeon and you want it to be engaging, some of your rooms are just going to be fun, some are going to be fun to read, and some are going to be like puzzles. And you got to kind of find a way to mix and match those things. So that's how my design is kind of thinking. I want people to, if they bother to engage with the full thing, and I don't think I've ever had a calendar that I fully engage with, but if someone does, I want it to be a rewarding experience of like, oh yeah, on this day, or like maybe you keep a logbook, and like there has to be some sort of reward for the people who take the effort to care about a thing, because I've read books where details were mentioned arbitrarily and offhand, and I've done this myself as a person who runs games, where I'll just make up a detail on the spot and that detail never comes up again, it wasn't important, and it was just like, here's a weird fact and it has nothing to do with anything. I'll only do that now if it's a joke. So hey, welcome to the stream. Hey, how's it going? I am taking an old idea and a really weird medium of just a big fat, like almost black lipstick paint, and using it to do this entire thing. So if you're just now coming in, that's what's up. And I'm talking about dungeon design and mega dungeon design. There's a lot of chat about mega dungeons with Dungeon 23 this year. It's something that I want to be engaged with. It's something I'm going to have to catch up with if I'm going to engage with it. But I have thoughts for 2 dungeons that I would do for it. And the people out there that I know who do dungeons, they're actually already mostly done with their 365-day dungeons. Not the journal dungeons. They're clearly just taking the approach of like, hey, I have a life and a job, and I honestly, kind of like me, sometimes I struggle to find an hour out of my day where I can just do a thing on a daily basis. I mean, it's been a struggle to do sometimes the drawing every day. You know, life rears its ugly head, and next thing I know, I can't really do anything that day. So I'm just gonna kind of rough out this with this thing, and I think, you know what, is this, yeah, it does dry. I'm kind of surprised at that. It's so oily, like when I draw with it, it kind of smears across stuff, but it's nice that it's drawing, so it's drying like almost like acrylic paint. I always like to keep the corners nice and dark. I don't want them to draw too much attention. They should be framing elements. For a person who likes doing art in mostly or 100% black, this thing rocks. I wonder if I can smear it and what that would look like. It's pretty cool. I can almost lighten it that way. I think I'd rather just keep the regular texture of it though, not do any smearing. I want to guide any viewer who picks up this picture into coming into the middle here and starting here. So I want to kind of draw attention down here with darks. My composition. And have that be where everybody's going to start. So I'm kind of, you can see I'm almost creating like a effect here at the bottom. I don't want there to be any confusion about where I want you to look first. Because the rest of this is going to be in the middle and painfully tempting to look at. And honestly, the meat and potato is the more interesting part. As long as you start here, the rest of this is for you to explore. And I want that to be the story of the composition. Meat and potatoes is a really weird analogy to use when you're a vegetarian. This music is by Alex Yarmak, who allows their music to be streamed for this exact purpose, or other purposes, or just enjoyed. So go check out Alex Yarmak. He does a lot of, he did like a cool Hotline Miami goes metal. This is lo-fi goes metal. It is honestly a pretty cool playlist. So I'm gonna darken up these edges here on the side. I think realistically this would be light, but because I'm using this as a framing element, it's gonna be dark. All right. Just gonna come in here with the corner of this. And I'm gonna come in later and I think I did a few too many like long lines with this. I think I need to do some more like of these kind of like pushy, kind of like shove it down kind of lines. I don't know if the football thing's still going on. It's not really my thing. I did pick a side though. I picked the Eagles because I used to be from Pennsylvania. Like I grew up around Pennsylvania at least. I don't think of myself as being from Pennsylvania though. Just I don't know. Maybe that's weird. I will kind of make concrete areas here more defined edges, and this is going to mostly provide the texture and like areas of visual definition later on. The only thing I also want to do with this is really kind of I want to see what happens if I tap it. I don't mind experimenting with mediums directly onto the art that I'm working on. This is actually really fun. I love that it gets a whole different texture going. It's almost like a, I mean, it makes sense, but it is like a stamp texture. I'm gonna make this, it can't just be a clean edge here. It's gotta be kind of blended in. Like there's rocks down here. And then we'll draw on a path there. And that's this. The Kids Made Modern paint stick, which I think you can get at Target for $1. So don't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't know how much this costs. All I know is it's black and it rocks. And it dries good and it doesn't bleed through, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't bleed through. What did I draw on this? Oh gosh. Yeah, it's goofing around over there. Yeah, where's my cap? There it is. So I'm trying to choose my next weapon here. I think I want to go with pen, erasable pen, to sort of define out these areas in the middle. And then, as people who have watched previous streams will know, I will take that erasable pen that I've drawn out here, and instead of like going in and using the eraser to get rid of it, use a hairdryer and it will pretty well get rid of anything that's up on it. I feel like I let someone borrow that pen though today, and I'm coming to this horrifying realization that that's probably exactly what I did. So I'm gonna have to do this in pencil, or I could try doing it in gray line, which will just not be very defined. I don't exactly like the idea of that either. How to solve this problem? Right, I totally did land it out. Though. Look at that. There it is. This is in my pocket. I did lend it out, but I also got it back. Zip that shut over there. Alright, so I'm going to start down here. Where I want the composition to start out. This gateway. I really should have a person for scale. I like to do that. I feel like for this it'd be more appropriate to have like an elephant for scale or a bear for scale, which a bear would be like maybe that big. So this could maybe fit like 6 people wide, 8 people wide. That's kind of my thought on the scale of this. Go straight line across, just defining the major shapes of the pieces here. This is a thick wall, and it's going to be even more defined by the. It has like almost like buttresses coming down, not flying buttresses, which would be ridiculous for a reinforced wall because you just break them. They work, but they're easy to attack, I imagine. I don't know, I've never attacked a medieval building. Don't quote me on it. The rear of this might have flying buttresses. That would make a lot of sense. What I do for pads is I usually just do this sort of like very short hatch out from where I think like the heaviest trod areas of the path are going to be. For some of these things, I want to go straight to using my actual ink, so I'm not doing a ton of redrawing. So I can't wait till I get this thing actually organized. I can stop unzipping every pouch to find what I need. I'll just know exactly where it is. Alright, so I'm going to take this one out too. I have ordered several of these, so hopefully they come in before I end up needing them. I got them from a site that usually ships me my materials pretty fast, but I can never, you can't always count on shipping times, unfortunately. Even though I'm in the city, I should usually I'm kind of spoiled by shipping times. That's what I wanted to do. Oh, I wanted to do these rocks here are going to be well defined. So I did want to sort of come in here and almost draw some rubble. And of course, a lot of these details will be invisible. Like so many things. If you're here in chat, or maybe just later, I kind of at that stage of streaming where I don't have a lot of active people in the chat. If you watch, you listen to podcasts, let me know. I'm always looking for good podcasts to listen to. I listen to tons, and I'll probably list them out. If I find out anybody's interested in that, I won't talk about it. I got no one to talk to podcasts about it. Talk about podcasts with. But I've got one of those jobs where I can kind of sit down and just listen to People talk about ideas and people who want to learn, people just want to make me laugh. Just good folks chatting on streams is also good. I know Dragon J does that. Most recent follow. Thank you, Dragon J. I'll say it again and again. Until we get another one, so sorry, you're in the spotlight. I'm going to define the edges of this real quick. Let's do the art that I'm comfortable with tonight. So talking about the other art that I've kind of sidelined in order to just do this, because I feel more like doing this. That is stuff that is actually, I talked about it if you were here to see me start the castle piece. The castle is heavily referenced an extant castle that is of Disney fame, and kind of darkening it up. I know that if you watch Drawfee, they do a lot of like Disney but Dark Souls. I love that stuff. It's inspired me to do entire play settings, and that's one of the things I'm kind of working on right now, is a sort of like dark fantasy version of Disney, and I've picked a game system that I want to write it for, and I would like to try to get it published. And I want to try to keep it kind of under wraps. I'll probably at some point, like I'm drawing one of the central set pieces in it on stream. Another thing, there's monsters. I probably come around and do some monster streams. I've done some monster drawings on here where we roll kind of random number generate monsters. Always fun. I feel like I should have left more of this blank. This marker sort of is extremely overpowering. Maybe I'll come in with a white and do reductive drawing techniques to try to bring back some of the lighter stuff. I like to go all out with that initial medium. Kind of breaks the seal on the art, so to speak. Like I can't mess it up any more than I've already done it. So got asked an interesting question today by my daughter about like, why do I like spooky things? She's like, why do you like spooky things? I'd say, when something's spooky or makes you a little uncomfortable, it's a little outside the norm, it gives you a chance to be brave. So whenever I write adventure content and stuff like that, it's almost always spooky themed, because I feel like if you can't make your players a little bit worried that things aren't going to turn out all right. First of all, it's a great way to signpost. So signposting, in case you're not aware of the term, is whenever you use hints and clues to say, hey, this is a bad idea, or hey, this is a really dangerous situation. It might be something you don't want to fight. So signposting is that. As a dungeon master, it's really important to learn how to signpost, because otherwise players will be like, wow, we had no clue that this was going to be as bad as it ended up being. So you can get kind of upset. It's upsetting. You get hurt feelings. And I think even the best players this will happen with. If you don't signpost, it's just kind of like, I just think it's bad storytelling too. back me up on this. Back me up on this, Dungeon Masters out there. Alright. So I have this sort of range done. I'm obsessed with giving it actual form right now, but I do want to move on to the other things in here because there's a lot going on here that you just can't tell. So this map starts off with a forest right at the front. So I want to quickly just say there's a little bit of this forest that is a little bit clear, so we have a kind of a path going through it. And then we have tall, broad, mighty pines which come up along the edges of the trail. Down here it's going to be a mixed sort of deciduous climate, which is to say like lowland temperate. Also like it's almost like a lowland alpine. So just kind of as far as ecology goes, you're going to have that mix of pines and deciduous trees in this sort of area. And even now, just thinking about it, I'm sort of trying to imagine first of all, there is a sort of weird disconnect I just realized, which is that you have a lush forest right here, but you also have a like a barren, rocky, craggy area here. So already my design is a little bit flawed. So I'm going to go and reevaluate that. I think here in the beginning, I'm going to have, I think it makes more sense to have some like broken, destroyed trees or old and sort of dying trees and branches that look like maybe they've been burnt out. So we'll go with that. The dark forest effect, and I'll probably drag that forest up into here so that the forest isn't just here. That would just make sense, right? So we're gonna have lots of dead trees mixed amongst live trees. I think I called this a deciduous forest. I just realized that's wrong. It's just mixed. Did I say that? I don't even recall. I'm sort of talking myself tired. There's going to be some trees that have grown into and out of this wall here. So I'll start with kind of the outlines of what their branches would look like and the scale of those trees. This forest works its way into being dense instead of starting off that way. Oh. Sort of have lines forming. I'm going to try not to have lines forming. Do some erasing. All right. Whew. Oh, man. Oh, giant bones. They're the best. Oh. Well, it's midnight now. It's when the tired really hits. I've got a cave entrance here. Oh, shoot. We talked a lot about ideas. A lot about ideas today. Always good to do. Get the ideas out. One. Okay, 7. Yep. Yeah, I'm getting tired. Would like to finish kind of like sketching this out, but again, I'm tired, you know. I don't want to talk too much about being tired other than every weekend it feels like one after another events. So you get tired. I will outline what's going on with this. I think I discussed it in a prior stream, like the full Mega Dungeon design and how this is relevant here. I'm going to do something here that's going to basically create a seat for text to sort of lay out the story a little bit. So I think what I might do is get some washi tape and just this whole area and then fill that in, or get some even just like a white masking tape and just write a little bit of that story on there as it's been blocked out. This giant sits in an area that is right before a cavern. You have some caves in here. I'm going to kind of work on getting this cave or cliffside to look more realistic and more like you could excuse me, kind of follow your finger to sort of like point at the one, then the next way on the path. There's going to be a city right about here, followed by a churchyard, followed by a necropolis, which I feel like I should write these down, but there's going to be a necropolis, and then we're going to it just kind of goes up. I don't know what I'm going to do for these middle areas. I think I was going to do more of a like ancient civilization or like really old prior civilization. That totally falls into the storyline that I have set aside for this. And then I'm going to have this up here be like a grand, but you can't even see that, almost like a grand fortress way at the top. So Yep, I'll probably have this stuff fully lined in Sketch by tomorrow, or not fully lined in Sketch, but at least lined out and sketched out so it can be inked. I love inking. It's either going to be this or the castle, but I try not to have more than 2 projects bumping around in my head. And if I'm just way too tired, it's going to be a study. You're going to get like a lava lamp or a box of matches. I'm just going to draw it as well as I can using my unique own sort of style way of drawing things. But anyways, I don't always say it again. I don't want to keep yawning on the stream. And as I started off today, if I start feeling sleepy, it's going to be a short stream. And I'm probably going to do something that's just maybe a little different until I kind of conquer that. And winter is not my best season. You may have heard of this. There are people who the shorter days does like physically and emotionally affect them. So that's kind of where I am. I can still get my job done though. And you can still count on me being here tomorrow, like I am every day, drawing. That'll be it for me. Thanks for watching. And here coming up, expect a long stream. I got to make up for the really short, bad one from last night. I can admit it was not what I would have wanted. So, anyways, like I said, that's it for me. Good night. See me here tomorrow, where I'll still be drawing. And yeah. Go football. The button's not working. Oh, there it is.